Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk with the Titans. Live from London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Kalam, and this is Talk with the Titans. You know what? Today, we're going to be going in on these particular topics. This scenario right here of black men being shot and killed and targeted for no apparent reason. No apparent reason at all. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, day or night. You could be by yourself, with your family, or rolling with your friends, but you still targeted. I want to know, what are we going to do about this? What are we actually going to do about this? You know what? We've got a star-spangled panel with us today. We've got Team Osiris in the building. We've got Amon Ra Squad in the building. We've got D Miller in the building. We've got Brother Malik in the building. We've also got Brother Alfonso in the building as well. We're going to be discussing, this heart-wrenching topic right here. I can't even hold it in right now. I can't even hold it in, because I'm just seeing this. It's just happening a bit too frequently, and it's a bit too crazy because we're seeing this live on Facebook. Social media is changing the whole game around. We're seeing these murders take place live. So you know what? First and foremost, I'm going to actually introduce our our panel members. Brother Ish, are you there?
Peace, Brother Kalam. How you doing this evening, brother?
I'm solemn. That's
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely want to thank you and Titans TV for dealing with this important topic, and hopefully we can analyze the situation, come up with some solutions for the situation, and just be able to put a face and a voice behind a lot of people who may not have a voice.
That's right. All right. So you know what? We're going to go into this. We're going to speak about police brutality, these police shootings that's been taking place. We're going to be speaking about what are we going to do about this situation? What are we going to do? What's next? You know what? We've had a lot of talk. There's been a lot of rhetoric, but I actually want to come to a solution today. Today, we're going to bring forth some proposals. We're going to bring forth some solutions for the community. We're going to be speaking about, is there a pending race war that's going to be taking place? We're going to be also talking about the Dallas shootings as well, and how this is actually going to affect the black nationalist movements or the pro-black movements. Already they're trying to link the shooting with or the Dallas shooting with this. So we're gonna speak on these topics here. We're actually going to be speaking about how do we interact with police and how should police interact with us. We're going to try to give some solutions. We're going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter. We're going to be talking about protesting. We're going to be talking about marching. We're going to be talking about what can we actually do to affect and benefit change. So you know what? The first question I actually have to throw out there to everybody right now is, you have been shot. I have been shot by the police. What do you want your family, your friends, your associates to do about it? And what are you willing to do about it? So I'm going to open that up to the panel.
We made it.
And the floor is open to you.
I think realistically, brother, you always have to keep in mind that everything is on the table. Everything is on the table. What you will hope for is that you are able to have justice rendered upon you. If your life is taken unjustly, then you will try to use every avenue through the legal system to get some type of remedy and some type of justice for the atrocity that's been inflicted upon you. So you would go and you would take the legal route and do whatever was necessary. You would try to ascertain all the accurate information. You would hope that your family is taken care of financially, either via things that you've set up independently, or that the community will surround you with love and encouragement and financial help to make sure that your family can be taken care of on that level. Everything is on the table. There's some things that you simply don't put on the air. There's some things you simply don't put into the atmosphere. But the reality is that we cannot be targeted and being marked for extinction for absolutely no crimes at all. It is not a sin to be African. It is not a sin to be minding our own business and to be productive citizens in the society. And for us to be marked and killed like this is absolutely unacceptable, and it's not going to be accepted. So everything is on the table.
That's right. Everything's on the table. So right now, you are Philando Castile. You are Alton Sterling. You are Alva Braziel. Like, in this situation, what would you do? What would you do? You've just been shot. Your brother's just been shot. What is there to be done about this? Should it just simply be a case of outrage and trying to get back at the person who's done something wrong with you in a less than justifiable or less than legal means? I want to know, because we've had this, so-called alleged shooting by Micah Xavier Johnson, and he shot back at police, or he shot police. I don't know the realness of it, because there's a lot of conflicting information that's going out, and me, for one, I can't actually trust the media. This is kind of like a side note, but we saw, via Facebook and other means as well, other news outlets, there was actually an individual who was actually plastered throughout the media as actually being one of the shooters, in the whole Dallas shooting. And we ended up seeing that he was actually there on the scene trying to actually help people who were being shot at. He was there handing over his weapon to the police officers and trying to clear this up, whereas the police officers did not want to clear his name at all. He had to go on to meet on to another form of media to actually clear his name. So I can't personally trust the media when they say that this person done the shooting and so forth. So I don't want to say this actually happened. I'm going to say allegedly, because we never actually know what actually took place. So I want to know, what can we actually do? What can we do? We've just been shot. Our brother's just been shot. What would you do in return? If I, Kalam L, was shot, what would you do in response? And I'm going to open that up to the rest of the panel members. I'm going to open it up now to Brother Malik. What would you do if I just got shot?
I'll just say that if you're going to react to something, it's wise to react accordingly and not to be reactionary to things. I've been in situations myself and other people I've known, and sometimes, look, police shoot somebody. This is how I look at it. Police shoot somebody. Let's be realistic. We go, we arm up, we start shooting the police. Now, are we really prepared to take it to that level? And there's other ways of fighting the system. So unless you're ready to go and shoot on the police and shoot the police or whatever, if that's what you choose to do, I don't knock it. But there's also other methods of getting back at the system. And those other methods of getting back at the system, if you're not going to do that, then you have to be proactive in the system, and you have to be some form of contribution in the cause. Doesn't mean everybody's going to be on the forefront. Not everybody's built for the forefront. Some people are not going to be on the soapbox.
That's right. That's
the
right.
Black Panther Party, when brothers joined the party back in the day, they go to join and they're told to make pancakes and chase diapers. There's different methods in fighting.
There you go. So I want to know. I want to know about these different. I definitely want to know about. I want to know about these different. You can just mute your mic. I want to know about these different methods. Okay, if we are not ready to, strap up and go to war and bust shots back at the police, I'm not actually advising anybody to actually do that at all. But if we're not ready and we're not prepared to do those things, what are the methods we can actually utilize to get justice for our? What methods can we actually utilize in the now? And I'm not talking about in the next 2 years time, 5 years time. I'm talking about right now. What methods can we take to actually get justice?
Kwame Ture said to organize, organize, organize. So how I see it is you're going to have to organize above ground and you're going to have to organize underground. Some things cannot be discussed and should not be discussed on any form of platform, you know. And so anybody who thinks, I mean, even if you look at the Nation of Islam, don't think the Nation of Islam or some other group don't got an underground. You know what I mean? Every group has that underground where it's could be the physical, you know, or the more strategic on different levels. But we have to organize. If you're in an organization, then rep that organization accordingly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brother Malik, because we've only got limited time. So I want to just make sure everybody has about 30 seconds so we can get everybody's responses. So Brother Amin, are you there? Okay. Brother D. Miller, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, Amin. You know, what methods can we actually utilize right now in the here and the now to actually get justice for our fallen comrades?
Oh, that's a specifically hard question, because to get justice or to seek justice, one has to have a standing in law as far as a culture, customs that one has to follow. And in law, if you don't have a custom to attach yourself to, seeking justice will never be, as far as the Dred Scott case is concerned. If you go into the Dred Scott case, it states that the holding states that persons of African descent could not be nowhere ever intended to be citizens under the United States Constitution, and they say that plaintiff is without standing to file a suit. Plaintiff cannot file a suit because of his standing. Why? Because Dred Scott did not have a culture, did not have a nation, did not have a status. His status was of a slave. You only see those who have not attached themselves to any of the 200 African nations having this issue. So in my perspective, if you continue to call yourself African American or black, don't have a standing, don't have a nation, there will be no justice, as you can see from the evidence, as so many of our brothers have been killed, brothers and sisters have been killed. There is no justice until we fix that issue, until folks can take the time to pick one out of those 200 and become part, and then you will seek justice, because everyone else seeks justice except for those who call themselves black, African, and don't attach themselves to a nation.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So I want to know, I'm opening up this question again, so I'm going to give it all the way until everybody on the panel has actually answered this question. Okay. So real quickly, I'm going to reiterate the question again. I've just been shot. Me, Kalam, has just been shot. Your brother's just been shot. What are you going to do to seek justice for me right now? Brother Alfonso, the floor is open to you.
First of all, what the brother just said was interesting, because that would kind of mean that police are aware who's connected to a nation and who's not. And I personally don't think that police are shooting black folks based on whether or not they can get justice because of whether or not they belong to a nation. Police are shooting black folks because they're black, period. Now, there's a premise that I move from, and that premise is the majority of white people see us as uncivilized animals and unconvicted criminals who are beneath their pets. This is how it's been. I can't find any history where our relationship has ever been any different when it comes to the majority of white people. So just like when you've been shot and Alton Sterling been shot and Philando Castile's been shot, Trayvon Martin, we can go all the way down the line. Each time I see one of us being shot, especially by the police, I say that we are catching bad ones because we're in denial about our historical relationship. We're in denial about the fact that the majority of white people see us as uncivilized animals and unconvicted criminals who are beneath their pets. We're going to keep getting ourselves hurt, maimed, and killed as long as we don't deal with that reality. Now, I see white police the same way I would see an animal in the forest. It's a monster that could kill me. When I address white police officers and deal with white police officers in particular, I deal with them all as though they are monsters who can kill me and go home and have dinner, never worrying about being indicted, put on trial, or convicted. They are monsters. So all of them. I don't try to disseminate who's right and who's nice. I think it's up to us to see them all as monsters and act accordingly. And if we see them as monsters, what we do is we try to increase our chances for survival. We see ourselves facing a lion in the forest. Our goal is to increase our chance for surviving the interaction. We don't go into, this is your 1000th time stopping me. We don't go into, I have as much rights to be in the forest as you. We have to go into, this is a monster who will kill me without thinking twice. And when we treat them as though they're monsters, what we do is go into survival mode. And we do everything we can. It's something we do every day. We gamble. We play with the odds. We try to get our high school degree, diploma so we can get a better job, a degree to get a better job. We're always playing the odds in all walks of life. And I'm saying when you're a black man and you're dealing with these white police officers, you have to see them as a monster, all of them, and then handle yourself accordingly so that you increase your chances of coming out of the interaction alive. And I personally believe that both of those brothers, if they saw these white police officers like monsters, if they saw them as people who look at them as less than human beings, then they could have done some things to improve their chances of coming out of those experiences alive.
Give thanks, my brother. Thank you very much. So I'm gonna, thank you for your responses so far. For everybody who's watching us right now live, I'm thanking you for actually tuning in right now. You could be doing, whatever else. But you're actually tuning in right now to Titans TV. If this is the first time you're actually tuning to Titans TV, please hit the subscribe button down below, and we have amazing shows that takes place literally every single week, maybe once, twice, 3 times a week. We have loads of debates going on. We have loads of discussions taking place. We have loads of interviews and presentations that takes place with the greatest titans on the minds within inside of our community. We have had Professor Griff, Brother Polite, Ishmael Bey, Amin Ross Squad, our brother Shaka Ahmos, brother Dr. Ali Muhammad on. We've had such great titans come onto the show, so please hit the subscribe button and actually join us and actually see more of what we actually have to offer. To the audience members out there, I want to know, because I just want to know. Am I doing this in vain? Am I actually putting myself out here in the public in vain? Am I being a voice? Am I being an eyesight, a media outlet that's actually informing, educating, and actually in some sense entertaining you for no reason but for your own personal benefit? I want to know if something actually happened to me. Okay, if something actually happened to me, I've got a subscription base of 20,000 subscribers. Okay, that's 20,000 soldiers, army members that are ready to actually fight for my case, fight for me. So I want to know, if I was shot by the police, if I was targeted as a black man, if I was even, dare I say it, killed, murdered by the police, I want to know, what would you do? What would you do? Wherever in America, wherever you're in the Caribbean islands, wherever you're in Africa, wherever you're in Europe, wherever you're in Australia, wherever you're in Asia, I want to know, what would you do as an individual, as a collective, as a group? What would you do to seek my justice? That's what I want to know. Okay, we had a case with Philando Castile, where his girlfriend was actually recording the murder take place, recording the shooting, well, the killing, the eventual killing of the man take place. I want to know, if you was in that situation, would you simply be whipping out a camera to record my eventual death? And is that the right thing to do? Like, I personally think that was a beautiful thing that the sister done. She was very calm, she was very collected at the same time, and actually reported accurately to the world, live streaming to the world what was actually going on. She brought about awareness. She contacted millions of people in a split second, okay? In a matter of minutes, hundreds of thousands of people became aware of the actions of this police officer. But at the same time, how many people were able and capable of actually marching down there, marching down, walking down, traveling down to this spot where this man was eventually pronounced dead at? Like, how many people would you, like, what
So there's another mic on. There's another mic on.
Okay, somebody please mute your mic. So I want to know, what would you do? Okay, what would you do? What would you do if I was shot, killed, murdered? I want to know, what would you do right now? And how would you seek my justice? How would you seek some type of recompense for my shooting and killing? I'm opening that up to the public, and I'm opening that up right now to anybody who would actually like to speak. Okay, I'm talking about real time.
I think that those are logical questions, and I think those are questions that should be asked if that does happen to you. And I think that same question should be asked, you know, also when it happens even on the broader scale and on the celebrity scale. You know, when you had Michael Jackson pass away, you know, he was killed, and the law even proved that he was killed by the doctor that was doing his work as far as putting him to sleep. So he was murdered, you know. And the question could have been asked, what are you going to do? Michael Jackson had given millions and millions of dollars in charity. He had helped children out all over the world, spoken and lended his voice to many, many different people, and was a worldwide legendary icon. And when he was killed, and it was proven that he was killed, what was going to be done for the entertainer Michael Jackson? So if you have 20,000 viewers, it should be a natural given that those who are closer within your inner circle, and those who you trust, and those in Team Osiris and Amon Ra Squad, etc., that we would then ask for those supporters of you. Is not the work of Kalam L worth a minimum of $1 to provide for his family? Should not his family have $20,000 instantly overnight to help with the bills that they need, to help with hiring a lawyer, so that we can get to the bottom of why our brother was taken away from us? We know him. We know that he would follow the law, and we believe his wife when his wife says that he was not the aggressor in this situation, and we're going to support our brother. So can you help us with our money, and to make sure that as we give, that you support also? Is not the information he's given to you worth at least $1? So then that $1, that $5, that $20, that $50 that comes in can help and ease the burden financially of your family. After that, the things that we do on the surface and on the front, we're also behind the scenes trying to ascertain information. You know, there was a time when Muhammad Ali was having a really tough time in the boxing industry. And within the Nation of Islam, there's always an element of what we used to call the pipe squad back in the 70s, in the 60s, and the 70s. The pipe squad were the people that would come to your door. So as Muhammad Ali was being shook down by the mafia, Elijah Muhammad also had the element of letting the Italians know that if you do lay one finger on our brother, you have family members also, and we will render justice upon you the same way that you're trying to render what you think is a punishment on our brother. So there's many different levels to this, but I think that the minimum thing, or the immediate thing that we can do, is to financially show support and encouragement to your family, your immediate family, to make sure that that burden at least can be eased up upon you. That's what I would probably say would be the first thing that we would do.
I have a comment, Brother Kalam.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, this is D. A piece to the panel. I appreciate the invite, Brother Kalam. Peace to the listening audience. I kind of take a technical approach to the whole thing. So when I analyze the situation, or if I deal with the hypothetical, I see, I would see again, God forbid, but I would see your death as a symptom of white supremacy. So your death is not the cause of anything in particular, other than a bunch of heartache and suffering and things of that nature, which are definitely terrible. But I think that what we want to focus on is the system that is causing these symptoms to come out. The first thing that comes to my mind is, again, from a technical approach, there are some children of African descent from the Atlanta area that put together an app. And this app is like a database. It allows for people of African descent, I think it's US based, but it allows for us to document our run-ins with the police. With the thought behind it is, if we know the areas in which the law or the police are unfriendly towards our people, we can make a proactive choice about where we do business, where we live, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, when I look at the system and a way to address this system, we cannot forget about the economics. This system does not run off of air. It does not run off of some spooky energy. It is running off of money. And what I would recommend, just like the app, it will allow for you to make a proactive decision about where you are and who you do business with. I think that to address white supremacy, we need to even talk about a means of exiting this particular white supremacy construct. And I think there are many ways in which that can be done, but I am a huge proponent of us looking at the economics, us finding a way in which we can organize our economics, exit this situation, and stop funding this particular system. So for me, Brother Kalam, I would try not to allow for your death to drive me insane. It is definitely something that would shake me. It is something that would bother me. It would definitely make me want to do something, but I would definitely make sure that my actions were not in vain. Hopefully, as we go on into this build, I can go a little further into it, brother.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you. We're definitely going to go a little bit further into different topics. We're actually going to go into now about, the interaction we actually have with police officers. Yeah, I think we're going to go into the interaction we have with police officers and protesting and marching. So that's going to be the next topic. But I'm going to kindly ask Brother Ishmael to actually summarize the steps we can actually take in the case of somebody that we personally know, our loved ones. If something happened to them, what can we do by the police? What can we do? What steps can we actually take to best, help the family and the individual itself? So, Brother Ishmael, you came up with, to me, wonderful solutions. So, if you could just kind of give a combination of different solutions we can actually provide to our audience members.
Sure, absolutely. I apply many different things of what I'm talking about today. I'm from a hometown called Syracuse, New York, and there's a foundation that I established in 1999. It's called RESPECT, and it's an acronym. It stands for Respect Empowerment, so people expect community trust. What that does is that educates us within our community of some things that may be able to save our lives, and we do workshops. We do workshops in the community, and we go through different scenarios. So we do, one part of the workshop is we show movies, a clip of the movie Crash. If anyone's ever seen the movie Crash, it has splits into many different scenes. And one of the scenes is where Terrence Howard is pulled over by the police. And clearly the police is having a bad day. And he's harassing Clarence Howard, pulling him over. Him and his wife are driving home. I think they're like, flirting in the car, something, driving home. It's him and his wife. and the scenarios coming up to where the police starts to harass Terrence Howard, and then the wife starts to get a little loud about, why you messing with us, and then puts it into, gets the situation a little bit more sticky and things like that. But we go through different kind of problem solving things, because many times, if you have a police that is absolutely insane or out of his mind, you can make a bad situation worse by the way that you conduct yourself. There's also the realistic scenario to where there may not be anything that you can do. Be ready to do whatever's necessary to be done. Or if something's going to happen to you, it may be your time. But there's also ways that you can kind of de-escalate the situation by maintaining your calm, which is what the sister did by filming what had transpired with the brother after he got shot. She was already drinking in the scenario of looking at a nut. He was bloodthirsty and he was trigger happy. He had already shot her fiance, and she had to look and analyze the situation, also go through the shock of seeing what's transpiring right beside her, but also protecting in her motherly instinct of protecting her child that's in the back seat. So by keeping the situation de-escalated, it saved her life, her child's life, and the further spilling of blood, and for her to get her message out, so that we can all assist her in her moment of need. So it was a survival tactic. So there are many different things that we can do. As far as, I'm not going to expect realistically trying to pull out some type of treaty, waving it in front of some cop's face and say, look, you can't do this to me. This is not a back and forth situation right now. You have the gun, you're on me. I'm here to let you know that I'm not who you're looking for. I'm here to let you know that obviously you probably just want to do your job and go home, and I just want to mind my fucking business and go home too. So whoever you're looking for, I'm not the one. So you do what you need to do. I'm going to do what I need to do. What information is it that you need? You need license, registration, whatever other information you need. Here it is right here. So here's the information. You done? Okay, we can go on about our business. So that's most of the time what happens. There are other times where you just get some people who are bloodthirsty and insane people. And if these people are ready to pull out a gun on you for absolutely no reason at all, ask you for identification, and shoot you for pulling out your identification, what else is that you can do? There's really nothing else that you can do but prepare to die, or to be prepared to defend yourself in that case. So that's where we're at right now. We're at code red right now as a people. The stress and burden of being pulled over and killed at any time. But if you are proactive within your community and try to prevent a lot of the things, are you driving around illegally? Are you doing something nefarious as far as with drugs or inviting additional problems? Are you walking around with a gun that you should not have, or are you licensed to have? And even if you are licensed to have, are you still being targeted for being killed anyways? So there's many different things that we can do in order to prevent it, but realistically, we're at a stage now to where we are marked as targets. So we should need to form organizations that can help us be prepared for whatever's coming our way.
That's it. Perfect. You know what? That's a perfect segue into the next section of how we should actually be. How should we react or interact with police? So that's going to be the next topic that we're actually going to discuss right now. Also, I just wanted to restate one of the things that was perfect. We should actually be able to set up some type of funding mechanism for those individuals whose families has to go through the trauma of seeing their baby boy or baby girl being shot, murdered by the police officers. We should definitely have an organization that funds or a donation or a charity that actually pays out pays out money to these individuals that go through these different situations. Like they need to get counseling, because personally, this, like, for me, let me put it like this: I was a bit perturbed. I was thinking to myself, why hasn't this actually taken place? I'm talking about with Micah Johnson previously, with doing the whole Dallas shooting. Why hasn't this actually taken place prior in the whole of American history? Because for 400 years of slavery, post-slavery, Jim Crow, police brutality, police shootings, police actually, dumping drugs and actually planting drugs on people, and people actually spending life sentences in prison for crimes they did not commit, either spending life sentences in prison for crimes they did not commit, or they're actually being butchered and mowed down by the police for crimes they may or may not have committed as well. I'm always wondering, why hasn't the children that's been ill affected by these things reacted prior? Why hasn't the friends, the family members reacted prior to all of this? Because you know what, we've only had 10 years or so, maybe even less than that, where we had the Americans and the British and the Europeans going over into places like Afghanistan, Iraq, and all these different areas, and they're bombing and killing these people in numbers. And the children of these people that's been affected, the family of those who have been affected, are ready to actually take American citizens' lives, American soldiers' lives, American or even British people's lives because of these atrocities that's taken place. They're even ready to take their own lives by becoming suicide bombers and blowing themselves up with the old Allahu Akbar thing. So, these people are ready to do this. There's even people who are in Britain as well, and they're all over America and Europe as well, who hasn't been directly affected, but they've been affected by the media. They've been affected by 9/11. They've been affected by all of these great atrocities that has taken place. They may be white, they might be even black, they might be Asian, whatever it is, but they've been affected by these things, and they've either converted to this religion, and they've now gone forward to actually kill and murder people, soldiers, regular people, police officers, based upon their conviction. So I was always curious, why hasn't this actually taken place in America prior? Why hasn't this already happened? And with this Dallas shooting, we can see that there is a possibility that there is a potential of other people, taking up arms and being copycats and actually snipering or shooting and killing police officers and taking their revenge on people like that. So I want to know what. I think we should actually definitely fund, the families that are affected by this to actually go through some type of counseling, so this doesn't actually occur. They don't actually.
I think the technology can be used for that. I think you're actually onto something. I have a brother, Tony Gaucher, who was the president of a software company and actually invented one of the. I think there's a couple of them that are on the market. But it's an app that you download onto your phone, and you hit the app, it automatically turns on your camera, and it gives you information about your legal rights immediately, right there on the spot. So as soon as you hit that one button, everything turns on, and you have to record in order to save you. I'm going to ask him to add onto his app an opportunity to have some type of funding on there. That way, anyone who has that app on their phone, if there are people that also have that app on their phone, then they can send $1, $2, $5 to the person that they want to assist, who's already within that system, within the app system. These are things that you can do in order to save and use technology in order to assist financially like that. So we have a lot of great minds that are black, that are willing to use their talents to serve us in the best way possible. So I think that's something additional that we can do, adding a donation button on an app like that that's already being used.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Technology is actually changing the world right now. So let's go into this now. Police interaction. How should we actually best interact with the police, actually survive a police encounter itself? I know that's a crazy thing to actually be saying, in terms of actually having to think about surviving a police encounter. So I know my Moorish brothers that's on the panel right now. Furthermore, through M here, I definitely want to hear your voice. I want to know, how can we best survive a police encounter?
All right, what's going on, panel? Brother Kalam, how you guys doing?
Peace, King.
All right, where I'm from and what goes on here, I've been pulled over or harassed by the police more times than I can actually count. the best method I found with dealing with police officers is silence, to be honest. You know, just have your identification ready if you're driving a vehicle. If you're walking on the street, you don't have to talk to them. But if you're in a vehicle, just have your license and insurance ready. You don't have to say a word. If they're going to give you a ticket, they're going to give you a ticket. If they're not, they're not. Basically, what it boils down to is what kind of day is this officer having? Is he having a good day or a bad day? Is going to dictate how he deals with you, because you're really at the officer's mercy. That's the best answer I can come up with as the best way to deal with him.
That's it. Perfect. I actually want to narrow it down actually to a police stop in terms of you being in a vehicle. What's the best way to actually have an interaction with them? Now, one of the best things I actually saw, this is again on Facebook. Facebook is such a beautiful tool in terms of video or media content that is quite viral in a sense. There was a white man who literally had his documents at hand, and he literally stuck it up. He got it from wherever he got it from, and kind of plastered it there. He had his license, plastered it there, had his insurance or whatever details there, and it may have had a paragraph saying, you know what, I've been instructed by my legal aid or advice team to not speak to the police, not give up my Fifth Amendment right, to remain silent, and all my documentation is right there. And literally, that stop encounter literally only took about 2 minutes. And I think this was that's like a drive-through stop, basically. There was like a DUI stop going on. And I thought that was a very perfect thing to actually do, a very smart thing to do as well. I want to know, like, entrepreneurs, I want to know, can we create something like that where we can have our document just literally hanged up? Can someone just mute their mic, please? Okay, to actually have our documents just plastered right there, anything that the police would possibly want, just literally hanged up right there, so we don't actually have to go into our glove compartment and pull anything out. We don't have to go into our back pockets, and police can have a reason to say that the wallet looked like a gun, or went into the glove compartment and he went through a concealed place and it looked like a gun, or whatever the case is. Could we possibly do that to stop any negative encounters? Is that a good idea to do? I'm open up, so please open your mics.
This is Miller. I don't know if technology would allow for that. I know for a fact I'm not interested in giving any policeman my phone to maybe have access to some digital documents. But I do agree with what the first brother said. The idea of silence, the idea of you know, a compliance, but not of the sort that, you know, demeans you as a human being. You should never have to feel like you have to kiss ass or do anything like that that would lower your integrity as a human being. But I do think that you know, we'll say the police have a place in society to maintain order of some degree. And with that being said, I think it's a bad idea to immediately try to confront that with force. I think that, again, we could probably use that force against them if that actually came as a consequence. But I think that what the first brother said is golden. And, of course, the idea of a technology for the sake of documentation, what I see in my mind off the top is, you know, providing them with your cell phone or something that has the information right there. I don't know if I would want to do that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
I know that the ones you're talking about with the paper on the window, that was in Florida. That was in Tampa, Florida. Being familiar with the Florida laws, that is what many of us do. When I was living in outside of Miami, you know, they cannot ask for your ID. They cannot stop you, actually. You know, so you simply ask them by knowing your rights, particularly whatever state you're living in, knowing your rights, and ask them, am I being detained? They have a yes or no question on that. If I'm not being detained, I'm going on about my business. You know, what you're really trying to do, actually, just me even having a conversation with you, is you're trying to smell liquor or alcohol on my breath, then you'll have a reason to actually do something. But through that information of, am I being detained? If you're not looking whatever you're looking for, if you're not getting it, I'm going on about my business, because legally you have to be in tune with what your rights are as a citizen of America. But again, there's a double standard of how it applies to us as African people. You know, sometimes the law is only as against the person that you're talking to. So if that person is going to pull out a gun and shoot you because of that, it is what it's going to be. But for the most part, most of these officers aren't going around trying to shoot you and then go home. You know, they're not looking for that either. But at the same time, you know, just know what your rights are, and then just move out on that. You know, don't sit there and argue and go back and forth with them and escalate it and make it a worse situation either.
Definitely. You know what? I actually have, this is not, I'm not sponsored by this company at all, but this video actually changed my life and my perspective quite a bit. Well, these two documentaries style videos right here. And please, I actually do ask our audience members to please visit this site. It's called flexyourrights.org. Flexyourrights.org. And please pick up these two videos. These two videos is called 10 Rules for Dealing with Police. And the other one is called Busted. Flex Your Rights presents Busted, the Citizen's Guide to Surviving Police Encounters. These two documentary slash go-to guide slash self-help documentary style films here are well done. You know what, they inform you on your rights and the powers you do have as a citizen of America, or just for a citizen of America or citizen of the world even, in terms of your rights, what rights you actually have, when you have the right to actually remain silent, which you always have the right to remain silent, not giving any officers any probable causes for you to be stopped and searched, or if you're stopped anywhere to be searched, actually asking a police officer if you're detained, and if you're not detained, you know, if you're free to go, and then you can quickly stop any negative police encounters, because police are there sometimes to actually sniff out and search and find something to actually stop and search you for. So please do not give them anything that they need to actually search you. So if you know you've been smoking weed in a car and you're living in a state that doesn't actually have the advantage of actually being able to smoke weed, furthermore, just don't smoke any weed in the car. And if you have to smoke weed in the car, do down the windows and spray some air freshener up in there, or do something. But the key thing is just don't actually break the laws or break the legislations that govern the area that you particularly live in. And you know what? I think most of the times when we do actually get stopped by the police, I know this is going to sound very bad. I know it's going to sound bad. But I think a lot of times, you know, we actually exacerbate the situation. I actually do think that we exacerbate the situation. What do I mean by this? You know, growing up, and seeing myself now. I remember growing up, we had a very arrogant, egotistical mentality in terms of dealing with the police, dealing with police officers. And I actually seem to see that we got stopped more with police because we had a negative perception of police. And, you know, I don't know if the police officers can actually sense that there is some type of animosity between us and them, and that caused them to actually be attracted to us, you know, the law of attraction. And, you know, if you're giving out a certain energy, other people could pick up on that energy. And if it's the police officers, they'll pick up on that energy and they'll come to actually, you know, trouble you in some sense. But I see as the more that I've evolved and grown in life, I don't actually have this hatred for police officers. I don't have this hatred for police officers. I don't actually hate police officers at all. And I kind of view them as human beings. And me viewing them as human beings, I've had less negative effects with police officers. And I could know several times where I'm clearly breaking the law, but my ability to actually have charm and actually communicate with an officer like they're a normal human being and not actually being aggressive to them, they've kind of let me go off on my way numerous times. So I want to know, like, do we actually exacerbate the situation by being aggressive to the police officers, by not actually showing them the respect that they actually duly should receive? Do we exacerbate the situation? I want to know that. And I'm opening up to the audience right now. Do we exacerbate the situation with police officers? Is it sometimes
Peace. This is Nobuyasu.
our fault?
Peace, peace. Let me elaborate a little bit on that. Is it our fault? Half yes and half no. I mean, if you look at the history of the police, they come from slavery, slave catching, catching slaves. So their prime objective is to catch slaves. That's their prime objective. And they're going to do their job. That's their job. Even though now it's sugar-coated, you know, they make it look like they're protecting. It's not actually what their job performance is. So yes, their duty is out there to go and at this time to make funding. On the other side of it, yes, it's also our fault because, again, Dred-Scott case. I'm always going to go back to this Dred-Scott case. Those that call themselves African American Black are not citizens, nor could ever be citizens. And because of that, the Constitution will not help you. Now, if you look at the situation, you only see those that have their pants sagged, that have that hood look, racial profiling. You never see a misnomer African who has their customary wear on, their nation wear or garments on, ever have this kind of situation. So to solve the problem would be to not fit the profile. And a lot of times folks will say, well, if we do other things, keep the profiling and do other things to make it look, you know, to make us look non-aggressive. But that's not the situation. The situation is international law, always international law. And therefore, a lot of these folks will never, the situation can never be fixed until, again, nationhood, culture, right? Having international customary wear and unity will defeat this, because again, they don't go after no one else but those that quote unquote are Negroes, blacks, colored. That's my little dissertation there. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, first of all, the police don't see your pants sagging while you're sitting in the car. I know Kalam asked about being pulled over and stopped. Secondly, one of the reasons why we're having this conversation is not because so much how black people are putting themselves in the position to be stopped and catching a bad one. We're having this conversation because white police officers are having no problem shooting black people in the back 5 times while they're running, and continue incidences like these. So this idea, again, that because we don't have some type of national clothing on, there are plenty of cases where I've seen where black men in suit and ties who are businessmen, even prominent people, even celebrities, have been pulled over and harassed by the police. So this idea that you know, if we have on a certain kind of clothing and we all become Moors, the police will all of a sudden leave black people alone. If all black people in America became Moors, police would just leave us alone because we know law. And the example you use, Kalam, in America, white people do things that black people can't. There's no, what we have to understand, again, I go back to it, is the majority of these people, especially these police officers, see us as uncivilized animals. Now, for us, if we deal with them based on reality, we're going to say, we're going to do everything we can do to not antagonize them. If they come pulling up and knock on the window and we slap something up against the window, That don't work for black people. Not in America. If we all of a sudden, they roll down the window and hand them my license and registration, give them the silent treatment, that stuff is antagonistic with white officers. And we have to act like we know who we're dealing with. But as long as we stay in denial and we start quoting rights and laws and going to that site you mentioned, Kalam, getting a handle on how to deal with police officers, rather than dealing with our own innate energy and understanding who we're dealing with based on the long, consistent history of catching bad ones from police, then we're going to keep being in trouble. And then running out in the streets. We've been running out in the streets every time something happened to us for the last 60 years. Trayvon Martin, Black Lives Matter, we went out in the street. And then white people prove with their actions Black lives don't matter. And then it's another shooting. And then Sandra Bland, we run out in the street, Black Lives Matter. And then white people prove with their actions Black lives don't matter. I'm trying to figure out how long is it going to take for black people to deal with the reality that Black lives don't matter to these white folks. You have a gorilla get shot dead because we're trying to prevent the danger, the black child from getting hurt, and white people lose their damn mind. But not long after that, an alligator kills a white child. They kill 5 alligators trying to find a white child, and you don't hear a word. The silence. See, white people show in America in particular with their actions where they stand with us. And we keep running around with a whole bunch of words about what they do afterwards. Their actions are extremely consistent, and then we keep running around with words. The reason why we're here tonight, and the reason why we're even having this conversation, is because it seems like the majority of us feel that there have been a string of unjust shootings on behalf of white police officers against black men. And I personally don't believe that these white police officers know that these black men are or aren't Moors, do or don't have status, know law or don't know law. I just have a challenge believing that they know they're pants sagging or they're not sagging. I just have a challenge believing that these white police officers are assessing all of that when they make a decision to handle their business with black folks the way they, black men in particular, the way they've been doing it.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your contribution. So I want to know. Actually, I'm gonna throw this out there because this is quite controversial as well. You know what? In terms of the clothing that we wear, okay, I'm talking about the hoodies. I'm talking about our sagging out pants. I'm talking about all of that. I want to know if we were dressed differently, would we still be targeted? If we so-called assimilated into mainstream culture, would we be less targeted? And is it selling out to actually do those things to be able to survive in white America? You know what? I had a teacher that actually passed through to my university a few years back, and he said to me, you know what? The children in his area that he would actually mentor. Would we still peace, my brother? Could you just mute your mic? Assimilated into mainstream culture. Would we be less targeted? My brother, could you mute your mic? You've just joined us, brother Umar or Harun. Please mute your mic. Thank you. Excellent. Yeah, I would like to know because you know what? He told me that he would tell his the children that he would be mentoring. When I say children, I mean 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. When you're selling drugs, because he won't even tell them not to sell drugs, because you know what? You can't tell a person not to stop your income basically, and not actually offer them anything better. He simply said to them to actually, when you're selling drugs, dress up in a suit and tie and carry around a briefcase and put your drugs within inside of the briefcase and conduct yourself sweetly if you do not want to be harassed by police. And he said to me that, you know what, out of the children that actually did do that, less of them who actually complied, less of them were being stopped by police and harassed by the police. And even when they were being stopped, they didn't have any rights to actually search the briefcase because it would be locked. So I would like to know, you know, could we adopt that, or should we adopt something like that? I know that sounds a bit crazy, but should we adopt something like that, where we should now assimilate into mainstream culture or dress a bit differently not to be targeted? Or is that a case of actually selling out our identity and assimilating into white culture just to make it in a white America? What are your thoughts on that?
Islam. I'm going to jump in again on this one. Uh, I'm not saying we're not saying to dress like the European. I'm particularly saying dress like where you come from, your roots, the African culture, the African style of dress. You don't never see an African get shot in the back. You don't never hear anything about an African in their customary wear get beat up. You don't never hear any of that. If you have, please present so. You have never heard of such. You only hear about those who saggy pants, who have that quote unquote Negro mentality, because the culture of today with the pants and the dress, it only comes from slavery. When they took all of your culture away, you only had the hand-me-down, and those hand-me-downs, I'll give our brothers and sisters props. It turned into something great, but it also has a negative connotation to it. And with that being said, again, if you could present me any, I would say quote unquote foreigner who on a daily basis wears their fez, their kufi, their kurta, their whatever customary wear they have on, ever get harassed, ever. I'm not saying dress with your suit and tie, because that's not yours. I'm saying something that is yours, internationally known.
All right, I'm gonna open it up to the rest of my brothers. I'm pretty sure my Muslim brothers will be like, you know what? When I'm dressed in my kufi and my frobe, you know what? I get stopped because of my big beard and my rock stuck on my back. They think I'm a terrorist, but I don't know. Let me just open that up, brother Ish. I see you, but let me just open up to brother Harun, who's just joined us. I know he has something to say. He's calling from London, or he's calling from the UK. So let me give him his voice.
Yeah, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
Yeah. I think this war on black people ain't got nothing to do with our dress code. And I think if we change our appearance, they're just gonna change the description. You know what I mean? Like if we go back in history, slavery, what the oppressors did to our country in Africa, you'll blatantly see that this is a long-term situation and a long-term problem that we have. That's what I'm saying. In my opinion, the only way that we can deal with this problem that we have with the oppressor is we have to love each other a lot more than we do. Like protesting, Black Lives Matter. Okay, that's a start, but it's not enough. You see what I'm saying? Like our black celebrities posting and tweeting that Black Lives Matter, that's not enough. Because at the end of the day, if we loved each other as brother and sisters, because if that personally happened in my house to my brother that I live with, then I'm gonna want to go to war. And that's the feeling that we all need to kind of like engage in. Like, I'm not saying we have to go to physical war, but we need that passion and that love for each other first. You see what I'm saying? Because when these shootings happened, okay, a lot of celebrities tweeted and they promoted it, Black Lives Matter, but then they still went on the stage and performed the next day. You see what I'm saying? What some of the celebrities should have done is packed up the stage, talking about like, okay, Beyonce, for example, packed up the stage and says, you know what, I'm cancelling the tour and I'm going to look back my black brothers and sisters and see who I go on. And then if everybody did that, black people stopped going to work and we linked up and we united, that's the only way we're going to deal with them, bruv. Because if this was any other race, it would be a madness. It would be a total madness. You see what I'm saying? And I just think posting and tweeting and marching is not enough, because Monday comes, everyone goes to work. These cops go back to work and shoot more black people. So I'm saying we need to take our money out of their system. if we're going to do it smartly and if we're going to do it strategically, okay, take the money out of circulation and keep it amongst ourselves, and then let's not go to work. How many black people around the world not working and not turning up for their jobs? Artists not performing. You see what I'm saying? Them things there. But at the end of the day, whether you're a rich black slave or a poor black slave, we're all still going to go out on Monday morning and do the slavery shit.
Strong,
And
strong.
the other point one more point I want to make, if we're not going to do it financially, then the only other choice is go to war. Because in every other battle that the oppressor is in, he uses violence. He's not using no peace. In nowhere around the world is he using peace. So we need to forget all this peace and love, and yeah, we need to love ourselves. And I need to love you like you're my brother. Because if I love you like you're my brother and someone kills you, I'm going to war, bro.
Whoo! I love the energy. I love the energy, my brother.
Simple.
I just want to know. I just want to know. You know what? A few years back, we had a shooting. One of the first, you know what, openly known police shootings in the UK with the brother Mark Duggan. I want to know what actually took place in the whole of the UK, and were you involved? And if you were involved, don't say too much. But what actually took place at the Mark Duggan shooting over here in the UK?
Yeah, okay, that's an example. Like, yeah, you're right. When the Mark Duggan thing happened, like, yeah, we seen what happened, you know. And I was actually, I mean, I
Be careful, be careful, be careful.
yeah,
Right
no,
now
I
we're on
witnessed
air.
it.
We're on air.
I witnessed it with my own eyes. But think about it. That, okay, taking that into account, and I totally against violence. I ain't got no
But
criminal
hold on,
record.
real quickly. Explain to everybody what actually took place, because obviously
Yeah,
a lot of our
the
brothers are in
UK,
America and aren't
the
aware
whole.
with UK issues.
Listen, it was mainly, in my opinion, it was mainly youths and kids, but they set the streets alight, bro. They set the streets alight, and it weren't just black people. There was Asians and there was whites and there was everyone involved. But listen, and we had our politicians. I remember David Cameron was on holiday, bro. And these youths made David Cameron have to come off his holiday early. A lot of politicians, and they were pissed off. And a lot of people went to jail and so on. But just one more point, I'm not, and I don't condone no violence, but imagine if every time these oppressors killed one of our people in the UK, and what we've seen that happen in America, in Dallas, if every time they killed one of our black people innocently, something like that happened, how long do you think they could keep going and getting away with this?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So I don't promote violence, but sometimes you have to fight fire with fire, because that when Osama bin Laden boomed down the Twin Towers, according to the oppressor, what was their reaction? And they're still reacting up to this day. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, we can march and we can do peace, but I just don't think it's not enough. It's not enough.
I love that. I love that. You know what, brother? I love that, because I know now I feel safe. I actually feel safe and secure now that if anything happened to me, my Muslim brothers has got me. My Muslim brothers.
And that's an
rioting.
example. Why do you think when Muslim brothers are victims of this oppressor, you can get a woman, forget the men, why do you think you can get a Muslim woman who's willing to strap on her suicide vest, bro, and go to the nearest site of an oppressor and blow them up? Not even the brothers, a woman, bro. You understand? Because you know why? She loves her brothers, she loves her sisters, she loves her community like they're her family. And us black people, we ain't loving each other enough, bro, because love is the answer for us. We don't need nobody else to love us when we love each other, bro. It's as simple as that, because like I said, if I love you like you were my brother, and I love my sisters like they were my sisters, we go to war for each other, whether that's strategically or physically, bro. Simple. And they can't handle us, and they know it.
That's good. I love that. I love that. I'm not even saying to anybody to do any strap up any bombs for me, but I love the energy and I love the passion that my brothers are willing and ready to fight back for me in any way possible, whether it's physical, whether it is strategic, whether it's legal, or whether it's actually causing a commotion and social unrest for change to actually be affected. Now I'm going to open it back up to the panel members. I want to know, like, are we the cause? Are we sometimes the cause of, you know, the way we dress, the way we act, for police targeting us? And I know that is a very controversial statement right there. I want to be as controversial as possible to bring this statement out, whether you agree or disagree with what I'm saying. I actually want you to talk. I want you to speak. I want you to call in, because my brother just now called in. He Facebooked me, he inboxed me via email and asked for the link. So if you would like the link, please go to the Talk with the Titans Facebook group, or go to Kalam SPL on Facebook and ask for the link to actually be here right now to join in with this discussion. Now, again, I'll be real with you. I live several different lives. I can actually adapt to different environments. So, in terms of my own dress code, I've realized, when I would be, on street, wearing my typical drug man attire, or typical street road man attire, my Ed Hardy hoodie on, my gold watches, my True Religion jeans, and all sorts going on. I seem to have more attention from police officers. And it seems like as though the typical responses to why you're stopping me is because I fit a description of such and such person who committed such and such crime. So I would like to know, by simply changing our dress code, will that solve some of our problems? Or is that simply selling out and being a coon by trying to fit into mainstream attire or mainstream looks? I want to know, because I want to know as well, because if you dress like a bank robber, does somebody, and this is an attire for a bank robber, would you dress like a bank robber? If you know the attire for a prostitute, would you dress like a prostitute? I'm going to be as inflammatory as possible to kind of see what you're saying, whether you agree with me or not. Okay, so I want to know, should we change our attire if the mainstream community views a hoodie as thug attire or criminal attire, or whatever the case is? Should we now change our attire so we are not easily targeted? So Ishmael Bey, that's over to you. Sorry, who just was that? Ishmael?
No, that was me, Alfonso.
Alfonso, 1 second. Let me get Ishmael Bey in.
Yes, sir. I say, Brother Kalam, I don't think you're dressed like a thug right now at all. I see you wearing a hoodie as we speak. I would say that Chris Rock has videotaped himself being pulled over at least 3 times. I've seen 3 videos that he's made of being pulled over by the police. Chris Rock doesn't dress like a thug. Henry Louis Gates, a Harvard professor, cops went inside of his house and arrested him, brought him out. He doesn't dress like a thug. He's 70 years old. Had got Obama on speed dial, and he got there and had a beer break on the White House lawn. But he was arrested. Amadou Diallo in New York City, he was dressed in ethnic attire. He wasn't dressed like a thug. He was dressed in African attire. So to answer that question, we have us, we dress normally every single day. Some of us dress in suits. We have athletes. We have celebrities. We dress in many various styles. So no, you wearing a hoodie, you don't look like a thug to me. You look like my brother. Regardless of whatever you're wearing, you're still my family. In this society and in the world society, they try to make our skin our sin, and it's not. We are who we are. So whether I'm running around and I put a fez on my head, I have no diplomatic immunity because they can identify that I got something on my head. I'm still a target. So no, emphatically no. It's not what we dress. I reject that. So perfect. I think that's a good question. Good question to ask, though. Good question.
Perfect. So now, knowing that it's regardless of what we wear, how we look, it's clearly down to the perception of these police officers. So I want to know, should these police officers be retrained? What is actually going wrong? Because this seems to be systematic. It doesn't seem to be just a one-off shooting that takes place here. It seems to, I remember quite recently I saw the map of the incidences of police shootings on black people itself, and it's spread across the whole of the country, and it seemed to be a case of racism. It seemed to be a case of racism. Now, should police officers be retrained, or should we have what is it? What is it? What policies are there in place that it's now legal for a police officer to okay, sorry. Anyway, sorry. I'm just seeing the video in my head. And it's kind of taking me back a little bit. It's taking me back. You know, two police officers can pin down a man and unload a clip into his chest. And there's several other shootings as well that's taken place where 10 shots, I believe, and even numbers as high as 15 shots for Alva, Braziel, was unloaded into the man, into his head and into his chest. What type of police training is there that allows for a police officer to not just shoot to disarm, but shoot to kill, and even once dead, to continue shooting? Clearly, this has to be something more than an individual police officer doing something wrong. It clearly has to be, in my eyes, due to training, because all of these police officers are shooting straight to kill. Now, we had an incident over here in the UK. You know, we had the Woolwich, the two Woolwich guys. You know, the Lee Rigby attack by these two Woolwich in Woolwich over here, and they were able to actually take the two guys in alive. They had guns and they had knives. They actually decapitated, cut off the head of a soldier over here in the UK, and was actually attacking police. They actually charged towards the police with guns and knives in their hands. But the police officers were able to shoot and disarm them and still have them alive to go through trial. So I would like to know, what is the difference between UK police officers and their policy and their training for being able to disarm black men who are clearly terrorists, or clearly men who have just committed a murder, clearly got guns and knives in their hands, and clearly charging towards the police? They were able to shoot and disarm those individuals. Whereas over in America, for instance, there's just a man who's selling CDs or selling cigarettes or just driving home in the car with his partner and child. What made those police officers capable and able to shoot to kill those individuals who clearly aren't doing anything to harm anybody else's life? What is it in the policy and in the training that allows them to do it? And should these police officers and should the system be readjusted? So I'm going to open that up to the public now.
Hello.
I'm going to go to Brother Alfonso, then Brother Harun, and then Brother Haru.
Well, I have to say it over and over again. White people, the majority of white people in this country, see black people as uncivilized animals and unconvicted criminals who are beneath their pets. So whether you become a police officer or a judge or anything else in this country, and you're white, then you're going to function with that disposition regardless of the title. So the idea of retraining police officers, that's kind of like retraining birds not to fly. You can't retrain these people to see us differently than they've always seen us, especially when there's no history of them ever seeing us in a different way and treating us in a different way, which is how we got over here in the first place. Way back in the conversation, you mentioned something about the difference between black people in America, and certain terrorists would strap bombs to themselves and do certain things. Black people in America are still afraid of white people. And that has to do with 400 years of unedited, uninterrupted conditioning. Not only are we afraid of them, but they continue to be our standard for what's best for us, even with what they continue doing to us. So we're still out of our natural minds. And we think because we have a job and we have a car and we go on vacation and we can sleep and eat and do all of the things where white people do it, we think we're okay. But our actions demonstrate that we're crazy and out of our natural minds, and still out of our natural mind. And one of the biggest things that demonstrate how crazy we are in this country is when every time, I said it earlier, I'll say it again, every time these white police officers show through their actions how they feel about us. These white people in general show through their actions how they feel about us. And we just keep running in the streets mad over and over again. It shows that we are crazy. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again for 60 years and not understand and expect different results without being crazy. So we are out of our natural minds and we think we're okay. And that's another major part of the problem. And we still refuse to deal with the reality that these white police officers see black men in particular as animals and treat us that way.
Quick, let me just quickly interrupt you, my brother, because I'm sure there's cases of even Latino and black officers shooting, gunning down black people as well. So I wanted to know, like, okay, cool. We know that white people view us as subhuman creatures. Well, not all, and let me not do this as a universal, but there is a good majority or good number of white people that view black people that way. But what can we do? Should they then be taken out of the police organization system, or should the policies be changed, or should more ethnic minorities be added into the police system? Like, what can we do? What can we actually do? What can we do to affect change?
Well, see, what we can do to affect change, there are things that we can do. But the only way we can do things is if we deal with reality. We can't do things based on what we hope and think and what should be. We have to deal with reality. One of the first things I think that we can do to affect change is understand the reality of who we're dealing with and then act accordingly. So I would say, if I wanted to begin to affect change, I would have to sit back, and I told you before, understand how this system works, decide what I want from this system, and then decide how to make the systems best serve us. It could be done as individuals and it can be done as a group. But being stuck in white people's race problems is never going to work for us. Being stuck in white people's race paradigm is never going to work for us. And as long as we keep responding based on this race-based stuff, they're going to continue owning us.
Okay, thank you, my brother. All right, brother Harun, I'm going to open up the floor to you. Please mute your mics for those who are not speaking.
Yeah, thanks for having me back again. Well, basically, the first thing I would like to say is that these police officers in England and in America, they don't need no new training. No way. I've seen viral videos of them preserving life, especially when it comes to their own. I've seen videos on Facebook with white people with firearms pointed at the police, and the police did all they could to take that person in alive. You know what I mean? And just touching on those terrorists that chopped off the soldier's head, you see, that proves that they can preserve life. And the reason why they preserved them two suspects is for interrogation. If they didn't want to question and interrogate them suspects, they would have shot them dead, but they want to extract information. You know what I mean? But it just goes to show again how the white supremacy is. You see what I'm saying? Like, look at Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old that we've all seen in America, sitting wherever he was sitting, playing with a toy gun. And the caller even says, yo, this could be a toy gun. It looks like a kid playing with a toy gun. And he was executed within seconds. No tactics used. And the reason why the police didn't use their tactics is because the justice system is protecting them. The answers are there. Because if police officers was killing young innocent black men and they was getting the justice system that they deserve, they wouldn't be doing it, bro. They wouldn't be doing it. If I know that when I kill this guy, I've got to go to the courts and I've got to face the public and I risk getting life in jail or the death penalty, like you would normally get for killing people in America, they would stop pulling their triggers so easy. But instead, because it's young black people and we're not united and they can sweep it under the carpet, they're getting away with it. They just need to stop being racially biased and stop using their racial tactics to execute us. That's my opinion. You know what I mean? All the answers are there.
Thank you, my brother. Brother Heru, it's over to you.
Well, I like to say this. I know the political climate in Britain is a little bit different than it is here in America. You know, here this is a country or society where most people have access to firearms. So this already, you know, it's already creating a situation where it's a violent violent society per se. And especially where I live, in the state I live, it's very lenient and lax on gun laws. So I've seen children that have real firearms. And I know police officers, in my opinion, more white police officers, I should say, I feel like they're afraid of young black men. That's why they have no problem killing us so quickly. We grew up in a society where it's plastered all over our news media that black men are something to fear. They pump this visual out that we're all dangerous and we all carry guns. And I think that as people grow up, we see this propaganda, even our own, we take this to heart and we start internalizing things and we start to feel like, hey, every time I see a young black male, I need to be scared or I need to fear something. Then you have situations where you have these predominantly white cops who are policing predominantly African American neighborhoods. They don't know us. They don't come from the same background. So the way they deal with us is totally different from someone who's actually been here before. That's why you almost never hear of black officers recklessly gunning down African American brothers, because most of the times they grow up in these environments, so they know how to handle their own people. I recently said that we need to get it to where we have more of our own people in the police departments, and let's start getting some of these Caucasian officers out of our police, out of our neighborhoods, because as long as they're in our neighborhoods, there's going to continue to be problems between us and them, especially with the ways that they view us, because they don't know anything about us. So I think that's one thing that we can begin to start doing.
I have a comment, Brother Kalam.
Go ahead, my brother.
All right. First thing I want to say is I can definitely appreciate what the brother Alfonso is saying, and I think that that's a prerequisite. I think it's the same prerequisite that the brother Heru was saying, but they're coming from the polar opposites. One is saying know your rights. The other is saying you must acknowledge and be aware of the policy in which they have towards us. So that's a prerequisite. I still feel that what the sister did by documenting her interaction with the police, that needs to be mandated in our communities. If you have an interaction with a police, be it good or bad, it must be documented so that we can all take a look. Maybe we can use the app that I referenced before. It's called 5-0 Against Some Children of African descent in Atlanta put this together for this very issue. The other thing that I want to say, and this kind of even gets with what the brother Heru was saying and certain others have said, and I actually take a page from you brothers' books out there in the UK, out there in Britain. I think on a local level as well as on a national level, we need a Brexit, an economic exit. Obviously, I would call it a Blexit for a black economic exit. And you know, once something like that is done, that's already a major blow to the system. But once that's done, I think just like with the Brexit, there comes a time for renegotiations, new contracts, new procedures, new policies. And I think that we would be in a position where we leverage to actually, you know, be able to come to a table and again have some influence on that very policy. After that point, do I feel that it would make sense that our people or ethnic minorities or whatever you would like to call them, be then, you know, integrated into a police force or something of that nature? I do think that it is backwards to want to join a system that already is has a position against you. I think that you'll find yourself within that system being alienated if you come with your own agenda or the agenda of your community in we'll say, a police force structure. That's not going to work. I think you can climb to any position in this country and you will find the same result. I think we have seen that demonstrated on multiple occasions throughout history. So I think that we have never tried, and I mean without force. I know after slavery, we were forced to have our own systems. But that was not something we did necessarily because I would say we wanted to. In fact, it appears our people have always wanted, or at least thought it made more sense to integrate. Now, without you having a position to have influence over policy, and I don't mean as a politician, I mean as the money that funds the political campaigns, the political policies. Without you influence for that level, it's all for naught. So again, my opinion is that as far as steps that we can do, first and foremost, start with the prerequisite. Understand yourself, understand others. Know yourself, know your enemy. Second of all, if we're talking about what's going on here recently, or at least what is causing us all to be emotionally unsettled, we need interactions. No matter how painful, and even if they're good, document that as well. And again, it's all about the information age. We need to be aware of what is happening to each other. And last but not least, we need to make an economic move. We need to exit from this system. That way, there will come a point where we can renegotiate the terms of our relationship. It's a fact. We are on our knees. We are asking, we are pleading, we are begging, we are praying, we are protesting for someone to acknowledge us, right? And we are trying to let them know that we even acknowledge that they don't acknowledge our lives, that Black Lives Matter. But that's not enough, as has already been stated here. In my opinion, brother, means for us to address this problem.
Thank you, my brother. You know what? I would also like for our international community to actually get involved. Okay, our international community, please try to get involved. If you would like the link to actually join us, you know what I'm going to do quickly? Let's see if I've got the ability to do it right now. I'm actually going to post it within the comment section. If it doesn't cause the whole computer to crash, just post it in the comment section. If you are watching live right now, it will be in the comment section of the show if you're in the live chat. And also, I'm going to post it right in the description box. So just visit the description box, and it will be entitled panel link. So I want my international community to please call in via the Google Hangouts application and get involved, because we're literally gone over time. We're an hour and a half right now, and we've only got a few more minutes left, and I definitely want to hear your voice. For all of you lot who've been involved in the Black Lives Matter march that actually recently took place over here in the UK on Sunday, and I believe it was Friday or Saturday, there was one on Sunday and there was one on Friday that took place. If you got involved with the march, I'd actually like to hear your voice as well. Please, you know what, talk with us. If you're in the international community, if you're in Europe, if you're in Norway, if you're in the Netherlands, if you're in Holland, if you're in Germany, France, wherever you are, I would like for you to actually, you know what, voice your opinions, voice what you would like to see, what changes our American brothers can actually do. Okay, because sometimes you need an outside of the box thinking. You know, maybe our brothers need fresh ideas from elsewhere. People who have visited different countries, that have seen different policing systems, that have seen different black communities thriving. What can you do or they do that can pick up something from your area or your disposition to bring to effect change in their community for the better? So that's what I would love for you lot to actually join in. So it's in the description box right now. If you would like the link, please call in. Real quickly, let me just open up a space. I believe there is a space that is not being used, so I'm going to open it up right now. I see my brother Harun. He would like to actually like to speak. But before my brother, actually, go on, Harun. Speak quickly.
I just wanted to ask a quick question, innit? Because I actually think the solution's there. I want to ask the panel, if these police officers who killed our innocent young black men faced the justice system and was given the full justice of the law as they should, don't you think that's the solution, and that would probably just solve this police brutality? That's my question.
Can I ask?
No. Real quickly, just keep your mics muted. I'm going to open it up to my sister Monica, and I think that would actually, well, let me just give my opinion. I think that would solve the immediate issue of the person who's actually being shot, but the justice, the overall justice of, you know, the constant attack on black communities, I don't know if that would be justice. But I'm going to open it up to my sister Monica to actually speak. Go ahead.
Hey, peace, Kalam, peace to the panel, everybody. So I'm from Louisiana, and I'm down in Opelousas, which is about 45 minutes from Baton Rouge. And so I drove down there Monday. We had a community unity meeting with the police force, chief of police, and the sheriff. And so I asked, so it was question and answers. But prior to getting there, I asked one of the cops. I said, you know, hey, why are they being gunned down? Why not just shoot them, stop them, you know, put them down or whatever? And his very response was, because we are trained that if you pull that gun, then you got to take them out. You do not just wound them. You do not just tase them. If you're gonna pull it, you have to wipe them out. Bottom line, and that's just what it is. So I asked, so you being a black cop, have you been faced in a situation where you felt like your life was threatened, or that you needed to draw your weapon? And he's like, you know, all the altercations I've been in, I just didn't feel like I needed to pull my weapon. So this from a black cop. So we get in the meeting, and I was on a hangout with the Amara squad, and there was a guy by the name of Micah who posted two legislative laws that California had overturned. One was the use of video cameras that they have, and I'm paraphrasing, that if the public uses a video camera during a police situation, that they would be arrested for obstruction of law enforcement, all that good stuff. And then the other one was that the grand jury, that because the DA has the opportunity to choose the evidence that goes before the grand jury, they overturned that he wouldn't be the only person that would select that evidence. So when I got to the community meeting, I asked the question. I brought up both of the codes that the guy gave us, and we had state representatives, we had city representatives, parish representatives, and I presented it just like he told us to. I said, you know, there's only one state in the United States that overturned these laws. When I give you these codes, would you consider overturning these laws? Their very response, the chief of police, the sheriff, the representative, and the senator, and the captain that was standing there, they said, Monica, we allow videotapes as admissible in court. And I said, if that was the case, when those police broke my brother's pelvis, and when we showed them that video, they said, you know what, get out of here. We just gonna lower the charges, and this they would not admit, they wouldn't even use it. And so because they was gonna, they was doing all kind of stuff, and we just kind of pulled out. We didn't want to have to go through all that. But my case in point is this: in the state of Louisiana, with the law enforcement, we're in there, and almost everybody had an issue with law enforcement. Those chief of police and the sheriff, their response to their police officers was that we are providing diversity training, and that we're going to go from using a weapon to tasers. That's their very response on how to handle, the altercations between the police officers and the public. And so, when I listen to the panel, I listen to other people, and I'm saying, okay, if a police officer, all he has to do is feel like he's a threat, he has the right to take you out. How do you deal with a feeling? Because as a United States soldier, retired Army, we could not do that. We would, oh my God, they'd lock us up and throw away the key if we even looked like we was gonna throw a water balloon. So the rules of engagement for police officers is that if they just feel they have the right to do what they want to do, forget the skin color, they just need a feeling.
So you're basically telling us, you know what? Wow, you're basically telling us that, if you are in another country, okay, as a soldier, the citizens in another country are treated much more fairly as an army, as an occupying force or an army being in another country. Those citizens are treated much more fairly. You are less inclined to actually shoot a citizen of another country than an American police officer is to its own domestic citizen.
Yes, because every bullet that comes out of an American soldier's weapon has to be accounted for and written on why you fired that weapon. And if you fired that weapon, you better have had some really good reasons why you fired it. And I mean, it's being there, and I'll get emotional doing it because I've been there. And so, I'm looking at our law enforcement like, are you serious? Like, what do you really do? You really can't. Matter of fact, we can put every scenario, every solution that everybody said in place. I'm with the fellas that said, these cats, they are who they are. They are who they are. And because they know that their leaders will back them up, I'm in total agreement with record every incident and report it, because the more there's a report that went out, I think we're under investigation, of course, and I think it was like over 1,300 incidents that was reported to the police officer, and that precinct didn't find no bias in it. Really? So I mean, it makes you upset. It makes you upset. You get fired up about it. The only thing you could do, you can train up on every tactic that you can, present yourself as professional as you can, stay as humble as you can, do what you can, and in the situation, hopefully you have enough training in you to act at the moment that will best get you out of the situation. Because you're dealing with people, because the people in the departments, because those leaderships were back, like right now in my hometown, they've started a petition yesterday to overthrow the mayor, the chief, the sheriff. They was like, you know what? We don't like these answers. Let's get a petition. And so they just plan on overthrowing everybody, right? If they get enough signings, I can go on and on. This in Louisiana, let me tell you, it's a whole nother animal down there. Before the killing happened, they beat our black men and women alike all the time. I don't care what you dress like, what you look like. They come on the scene. They drive on the scene. If you just look like they're coming, look, all you have to do is see when those rioters was in Baton Rouge. There's videos when those rioters was in Baton Rouge, and that lady allowed them to on her private property to protest. I'm sorry, I said rioters. I meant protesters on her property. She allowed them to protest, and they issued a command and said, everybody got to get out the street, get out, go home, do whatever. And they came in her yard, and if you got caught slipping, you was arrested. And she could plead all she want to. Those people got arrested. And so they was like, hold up, we're within our rights. Okay, They just changed the rules of engagement right in front of you. What are you gonna do?
Mhm.
Get locked up?
That's it. Okay, Monica, it's always a pleasure hearing your voice and hearing the wisdom you have to spit forward to us, brother Haroon. I know 1 minute. We're gonna get to you
I just want to address
real,
Monica real quick.
real shortly. We're gonna have brother Ish coming in. Who else actually wants to actually have their voice being heard as well? Anybody else?
I'll come in last, brother Colin.
Okay,
Well,
cool, excellent. Let me throw this out there. Let me throw this out there because I'm not a one to actually protest or complain much. If I see there is an issue, I try my very best to actually understand it and change it for myself. So we know that police brutality has been taking place for quite some time now in America. I want to know, isn't it about time that blacks, Latinos, or other people of minorities, ethnic minorities, come together to actually start policing themselves? I just think that is the next logical step. Shouldn't we be able to police ourselves, our own communities? Now, over here in the UK, we have two types of police forces. We have the Metropolitan Police, which is, the normal police, and we also have community police officers. Now, community police officers don't have as much rights. I don't know if that is the proper terminology, or powers, should I say. They don't have as much powers as police officers, but they do have some powers. They're able to stop, they're able to question you, they're able to detain you, they're able to arrest you, and so forth. And they're given the equipment and materials to actually police the community or police the environment. And they're much more of a friendly type of organization or police force, I would say. You see them riding on their bicycles, and sometimes they're accompanied by one police officer. So I would like to know, shouldn't we establish some type of police force within inside of our own community? Now, we had the brother Harry Rosenberg in. He's the Jewish rabbi who actually debated polite. Now, he stated to us that, within inside of his community, he doesn't wait for the public services such as the ambulances to actually come. The Jews have their own ambulance service that they call before anybody else, and they come and get them when they're sick. He's in the efforts of actually creating his own Facebook. Somebody joked about it and called it his own Jew book, basically, his own social media site. So I would like to know, shouldn't we be trying to actually create a policing system for ourselves instead of relying on, the police within our own community to actually police us? That's the question I'm actually going to put out there. Should we create our own police system? And can our brothers from, around the world come together to train these police forces? Can our armies, Marines, wherever you are, come together and train our own police forces to actually police our own communities? Can our police officers in the current police system come together with all these different organizations, all these different people, and train ethnic minorities, blacks, Latinos, and whoever else to actually police themselves? Can we choose a testing ground? Can we choose one state where we can create our own policing systems, where we can actually police ourselves? And if that actually works, can we now spread it out throughout the rest of America? That's a question I'm going to open up to everybody right now. But Ish, if you wanted to say something prior to that question, please say it as well.
Sure. Absolutely. I thank Sister Monica for the information that she was bringing out, and just to back her up, society plays that the game instantly. When Dylan Roof had killed the 9 people in South Carolina, he was taken alive. He wasn't killed. He was served Burger King. He was treated with kid gloves, and he was walked back, and he's still alive today. You know, the brother in Dallas was assassinated by a drone. You know, they got the basic information of what they wanted, and then they murdered him using a drone, a robot. That's never been done before like that. You know, so they played judge, jury, and executioner, murdering him because they refused to make sure that he would not be used as a symbol. So we've had the other people that come up before, like Colin Ferguson. We've had other people who came up and done these other things like that before. But for them to use a drone to assassinate him while the other person is served Burger King and coddled, that's a huge difference. And the propaganda game of them controlling the cameras instantly in Louisiana. You know, they came and they confiscated the cameras and the recorder out of the Arab store or the store owner's store, you know, to control the flow of the information. And if they had an opportunity, they would have taken every cell phone that was gathered also. So luckily, they independently had those. But they haven't released the 2 body cams of the police officers, so we don't know what was said before the incident even transpired. So they haven't released any of those informations. However, they do release the 911 call. So the police department are in control of all of that information, and they're not releasing the body cams or the store camera illegally. That was not taken by any type of a warrant. So they're just changing up the rules as it goes along in order to control the propaganda for a particular reason. You know, so we reorganize in how we put out our information responsibly, accurately, so that we can combat this element of people who hate us. And that's what we have to recondition our minds for. Don't fool yourself into thinking that they don't hate you. They hate you, you know, and they're going to change every rule. They have no rules where it pertains to us. They will alter it at the drop of a dime in order to serve their own ultimate purpose, which is to assassinate us. And we have to come to that realization. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Brother Ish. We've literally got a few more minutes left of the show. I know we're coming up to the 2-hour mark very fastly, so we've only got about less than 5 minutes left. So, Brother Umar, Brother Harun, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
okay,
I'm here.
Go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, going back to what the sister was saying, Sister Monica, she kind of confirmed my question. My question was, if the police was to face the full justice system, and sort of like the criminality for their crimes, would it have an impact? And she kind of confirmed that the scrutiny that the soldiers get in the battlefield in rules of engagement, it's so scrutinized that they think twice on how they engage with civilians and how they engage with the people who they're warring against. So that's what I'm saying. If those same standards was executed in the criminal justice system and the police force, then maybe this would have an impact on how police think when they're approaching us and dealing with us. You understand? So that was my point. And going to the point in terms of criminal justice, I always thought it was biased. And I always wondered, why is it left down to the police to investigate a crime from the moment the phone call comes into the operator that there's been a shooting or there's been a crime? How comes the defense? There needs to be some kind of system in place where the potential defense team has got an investigator also in this incident at the time it was committed. Do you understand what I mean? Like, not just the police, that there needs to be some kind of independent structure and independent organization that when a serious crime is committed, someone is policing the police and how they police it. So when that evidence is brought to trial and things are brought to trial, this other independent source can also say, well, we seen this happen, we collected this, we seen the police, you know what I mean? And there's a full file, because it's right. When trial day comes, we're relying for our defense teams to beat the prosecution and the police, who are all in collude on the stuff that they've gathered from day one.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? So we kind of need to change the system a little bit.
That's right, my brother. How can the police actually police the police? Very, very good point made. We're literally running out of time, so please, everybody, please just kind of minimize your answers to about 30 seconds maximum, because we need to come to the end of the show. We've got somebody who's just come in now, Bubbs, B-U-B-B-Z, I believe. If you've got something to say, please open up your mic and speak. Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Peace and love, family, and just really appreciate the conversation. opportunity to hear the great minds building on a crucial and very effective plan that we're seeing really just captivate so much of our talent and our abilities to be building. So anyways, just real quick, since we're out of time, I mean, I think the solutions we're hearing are important, but I want to just call attention to self-knowledge and healing the family. If we want to talk about grassroots activism and changing society, it's really got to go back to what the ancestors been telling us: self-knowledge. Heal yourself, so that way we can have healthy, peaceful homes, which will then translate into healthy, peaceful societies. So I think if we just want to be focused on solutions, that it's starting there: self-knowledge and healthy, peaceful homes for our children.
That was beautiful. I love that. I love that indeed. Definitely, if we are able to, have self-knowledge, have love for ourselves, have love for our spouses, have love for our children, have love, therefore, for our family, then it can go into our villages, our communities, our towns, then our cities, then our nations itself. So definitely, that was a very powerful comment by you. Now I'm going to move on to Brother D. D, are you there? D Miller? Then we're going to go into Heru.
Yes, sir.
Then we're going to go on to Brother Alfonso and Kufu, if you would like to round. Yeah, you as well. Sorry, it's late. Come on, let's go. D Miller, go ahead, my brother.
Oh, yes, sir. I am a proponent of revolution. As everyone, I think, has been saying, we need to fundamentally change our minds. I think the tool that we can utilize to bring about this Brexit is Bitcoin. I recommend everybody do their due diligence on that. And with regards to the police or policing, I think, again, fundamentally, we need to change our minds about that. I think what would be most useful is the idea of privatization. I think that individuals that are skilled in the martial arts and have that form of training should create companies. And we as communities should fund those companies to better protect us. With that, I say peace.
Peace. Brother Heru.
I just want to say peace to the panel. I think we all presented some great information tonight. In reference to what's happening to our brothers, I just want to give my condolences out to the family. And peace and Black African power.
Lovely. And we didn't actually get to speak about Micah Johnson, Micah Xavier Johnson. I just want to know from the panel, his actions, yay or nay. I'm going to start from Brother Haroon and work our way all the way down. So, Brother Haroon, Micah Johnson, Xavier Johnson, fighting back and busting your gun back at the police, yay or nay?
Yay.
Wait.
Yay. That's Brother Haroon. Brother Alfonso, yay or nay?
Nay.
Brother Kufu. Brother Kufu.
Yes, peace, man.
Peace. Yay or nay?
That I can't be for sure, and I think that's a person-to-person issue based on the situation.
Okay. All right. Brother Heru.
Yay.
Brother D. Miller.
Nay.
Brother Bubs.
I mean, it's a no because we're not falling for it. We're not falling for it. We know love's alive and well, more evident now than ever. And if we wake up to that wisdom, that's what's going to make that change, not violence.
Okay. Brother Ish, yay or nay?
I'm a general, no comment.
I love that. So, you know what? We've had varied opinions and perspectives that's actually being displayed on the show today. I love where everybody's actually coming from. I love the fact that we can actually respect each other and have a civil dialogue, and we can actually bring forth some type of solutions to the community as well, in terms of if somebody in the community actually got shot right now, what can we do to seek justice and actually help the family members as well. Some powerful information was disseminated on that issue in terms of police encounters as well. Should we change our dress code or change whatever it is? And I think resoundingly, I think it's a no. We shouldn't actually change. We should stick strong to our identity and just realize that the problem is not actually with us, but it is with the outside world and how they perceive young black boys or young black men or black people in general. Dare I say, is it just a black person, a black people in general? Do they target them, black people, in a particular way because of their skin color, because of the fear, because of the perceived threat? So, you know what? We've spoken about that. We've spoken about, should police be retrained? Should they, kind of get to know the community? Should they have some type of love in their heart? Should the policies change? What should actually take place? Some great comments was, given on that. We also had Sister Monica showing us about the army in terms of, every bullet should be accounted for. Citizens outside of the U.S. in a war-torn country or war scenario are actually treated much more fairly than U.S. citizens are actually treated by police officers. We've gone through various other solutions as well. Too numerous for me to actually remember right now. It's actually 3:15 in the morning. But I'm going to thank everybody who's actually tuned in right now. And I'm grateful for everybody who, may not particularly agree with everybody on the panel, but had the patience to listen to everybody to have their say. And if you would like to have your say as well, please leave your comments in the comment section down below, and please revisit the comments, whether it's a day, a week, a month from now, because we always have some vibrant discussions and debates that takes place in the comment section. The comment section is truly where the gems are. So please leave your comments in the comment section and let this conversation flow some more. We're definitely going to have some more discussion-based shows like this. I love the fact that we had some females, a female come on the show. We need to have some more females coming onto the show as well. And we're definitely going to have much more discussions on various topics. I actually do want to stick on this topic and talk more about this, because we know there's a few more things that we never got to speak about. So hopefully in the upcoming days, we should actually have some more shows. And I'm going to thank you all for actually joining us. And please, 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 please hit the share button, share the link, go on Facebook, go on Twitter, go on to wherever you are, YouTube, Google+, wherever you are, share it with your friends, share it with your family, tag everybody, get everybody involved with the conversation, and let's spill this over, because of course we have the Talk with the Titans Facebook group where we continue these dialogues into much more depth via the groups. We also are in there in Arm and Ra Squad group as well, Team Osiris group as well, and we definitely do carry on the conversation. I'm actually going to close out right now, but Brother Ish, I would love for you to actually give the last words and any announcements to our audience, if you can.
I will be happy to, Brother Kalam. I want to say that the works that you do and the platform that you provide on the international level, I mean, you merge such a vast amount, very, very important. I do thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to come share, to expound. I definitely agree with you that the value of information and what we get from the people that participate in the chat rooms and the people that leave the comments on the videos are very, very important. And I want to salute you and thank you again so much for having us as the guest on your show and for you providing such an important platform for us, brother. Thank you so much.
And thank you as well. And I thank everybody on the panel members as well for being here, to actually voicing your opinions. And of course, we're going to be speaking a little bit more off air so we can carry on this discussion, with everybody who is in the panel section and anybody else who's watching right now. If you spot the panel link at the bottom and you want to come in and somebody's dropped out, please hit the link. And I'm sure we're going to be here for a little bit longer to actually discuss more. Thank you, everybody who's joined us today. Please subscribe and stay tuned for more relevant topics and information that will be affecting you and our community. Peace. Voicing your opinion.